Greetings and felicitations.
Hip, hip, hurrah. Tally-ho.
Hey, Peach.
Hey, Puddin'.
Okay, what did you think about this episode of Discovery, entitled
Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad?
Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, this one was my favorite. I mean, it was the best so far. I loved it.
And it was virtually self-contained. It's the type of episode you don't have to watch any of the other ones. As much as they say this is like Walking Dead or
Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones. It's all one big tapestry. This was a sliver cut out. And it said they did this because of financial restraints. That they had to do something that wouldn't cost as much. So we see a lot of repetitiveness in this. But
the big thing, yeah,
cost cutting is a good thing sometimes.
They've done it on Star Trek before. The time loop to save money, like they did it in the episode Cause and Effect.
Yes, and Next Generation.
Which worked. It worked back then, and it works now in this episode.
Yeah,
it was great.
It proves that you don't need a lot of money to make awesome Star Trek. Sometimes the best Trek is the one that's on a budget. So let's talk about the episode.
So we get to see Harry Mudd again. And, you know, as we've talked about before, Harry Mudd is so different than he was on the original series. I mean, this version, it pretty much is an alternate universe Harry Mudd.
Yes, he's not just goofy, he's conniving, he's willing to kill people, he's ruthless.
I mean, in this episode, even more than the other one where we saw him choose your pain, I mean, in this one, we find out he's even more dangerous, even more intelligent, because he's learning about the ship each time he restarts the time loop. He's trying to learn more about the ship and engineering and how to take it over.
Yep. Yeah, a lot to it.
And he's so evil in this one. He kills Lorca 50 times, and he says he loves killing Lorca. Ooh, you know, those kind of things. And you do have to question, is what we saw in Choose Your Pain, was that really enough to make him hate Lorca that much? I mean, that's one of the inconsistencies, but you can kind of let it go.
And everyone else, essentially.
Right, yeah. I mean, you can kind of let it go just because the rest of the story is great and it comes together, so. Mm-hmm.
Now, one of the things that we both were excited about that giant space whale, right? They catch this space whale, and we're thinking, space whale? Kind of like Star Trek 4? When I think of whale and Star Trek, that's what I think of Star Trek 4. But when the mouth opened up and the being came out of it, it looked like a helmet that would protect antenna. And there were hues of blue on it, so we're both saying, it's an Andorian!
And they never explained that either. I mean, maybe at some point someone will mention it, like, okay, he must have had this helmet that was made for Andorians that he got somewhere.
It never was explained, but that was our first viewpoint. Both of us thought that it was an Andorian-like helmet.
But it was a great flashback, a throwback to the original, knowing that alien race, which does get shown on Discovery.
Yep.
And Time Crystal, which, you know, Time crystals get mentioned in season 2 of Discovery, so it was interesting that they mentioned it here on this episode, and at this time you don't know that they're going to have it again.
Exactly, and we know the time crystals are part of the opening credits. We see a bunch of crystals. Initially we thought they were dilithium crystals, but now we're to believe that they're time crystals.
Yeah, the little thing floating on the screen in the intro to each episode. And you know that the original actor that played Harry Mudd was Roger C. Carmel, and he passed away. Because I know they had talked about even having him on Deep Space Nine, but then they heard the original actor had already died, so they didn't.
Yeah, this is a very ruthless form of Harry Mudd. But the episode in itself, in a time loop with little traits that were different, was engaging. One thing I was surprised about was Bee Gees. We're going to have the Bee Gees 100 years ago. From now, I should say.
Yeah.
But a rap version of a Bee Gees song.
I actually liked it in this, though. It sounded good. So, yeah, why not? I mean, you know, that to them, they just consider it, old music, I guess. But I think it's neat that they can still have that, and the fact that Discovery, because they had to pay for the rights to use that, so they're more willing to pay for popular artists on this show, because the Next Generation didn't do that. They would use music that was public domain, like classical and jazz.
That's right. So, which is curious, because when we watched Airplane, the movie, they used Bee Gees song, and it was said that they had to get rights from the Bee Gees to speed up the beat. So I don't know if the Discovery people had to, because this is a rap version, I don't even know if this is a real song or not, but I'm just surprised that they didn't use this opportunity to release a new song from a new artist and release it. I mean, how awesome would that be if we had a new song that wasn't a retro song that was featured in Star Trek? That's what I was hoping for.
That would have been neat. It wouldn't have been as recognizable, because, I mean, we probably wouldn't have recognized it because we don't keep up with new songs anymore. But yeah, I think they just wanted something that could be recognized by everyone.
And kind of this told me, by using a Bee Gees song or a Bee Gees bass song, that as much as they say we want young people watching Star Trek, we want new people watching Star Trek, you start throwing 70s songs in there, 14-year-olds are not attracted to that. So again, I think Star Trek is still struggling to figure what's the demographic that they want to watch this show.
But they were using a rap version. That is what younger people want to see. So
I think that's the halfway
trying
point.
To make it appeal to both.
Mm-hmm. Now, we did get to see Stella in this episode, so there are a lot of callbacks to original Trek.
Well, because everyone remembers Harry Mudd saying that his wife was named Stella, and so what we saw on the original series was an android recreation of her. So this is the first time we've seen a real live Stella, and she looks different, doesn't she? She looks a lot younger.
Oh my God. Because supposedly, if this is prime timeline, this is only 10 years previous to the original series. This Stella looks a lot younger than 10 years of TOS Stella.
But then what was someone's theory? She took the Venus drug from Mudd's women. And the idea of Stamets being the one who could tell that something was wrong with time. And it fits. And it's like they were leading up to that anyway, because the previous episode had him in the mirror where his mirror image didn't move. So something's up with him, having to do with something strange.
I like that. I like using him as this central character that's understanding time and space more so than everyone else.
He experiences time in a different way, just like Guinan did on The Next Generation.
That's a good parallel. You're right. Yeah, I never thought about it like that before.
It is something, yes. So Star Trek has had these characters like this. Mm-hmm. So it's great that it's Stamets, and we find out more about him later, and his interactions with Burnham. Those were some good character moments too, and Burnham saying that she's never been in love before, her thing that she's never told anyone, and she had to tell Stamets so that he could tell her next version when the time resets. That was a nice little thing to add to it. Burnham is the main character, and she is so, she's such a tragic character, but also one who's rebuilding and moving on.
Yes.
So we see more of that here. And the title of this episode actually comes from the Iliad, from another version of it. I mean, because there are different translations of it. But it was something that Aphrodite gave to Hera to beguile Zeus. So something to beguile a person. So that's where the title came from. And I like the idea of having Stella's father, and the fact that Stella was very close to her father. You could tell she was the little princess, and he was the one who would do anything for his daughter, and he was rich too. I mean, that's significant. And so the fact that they could threaten Harry Mudd by turning him into Stella's father. And so Mudd is always this character who thinks he can get away with things, but then finds out that he can't. That's classic Harry Mudd. And he's always been a comic character, which he was in this, but also, as we said, he was a lot more dangerous in this. But he worked well in this episode. And Rainn Wilson that played Harry Mudd, he did a good job. He's a great Harry Mudd for the type of character that he is in this. It wouldn't have been the same having him play Harry Mudd on the original series. You couldn't imagine that.
No, not at all. No, but for the Discoverse, it works.
Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and join our Facebook group. Live long, and may the Force be with you. Nanu Nanu.